Aloha! Big kahuna out on the road right now. Just read in the that the second busload of illegal aliens were dropped off at the U.S. Naval Observatory, which is the residence of Vice President Kamala Harris. And the outrage I'm hearing from the left is beyond ridiculous and beyond hypocritical. I really give credit to Governor Abbott. A lot of people thought this was just a stunt, and it is. And but it's a good stunt because sometimes you have to do these things to open people's eyes. And now Governor DeSantis sent 2 plane loads of illegal aliens to Martha's Vineyard, they were promptly detained on a military base in Massachusetts. It's funny we can't detain them at the border and send them back, but they're detained there. And this failed immigration policy reminds me so much of Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy Carter didn't have the issue on the border. He had the issue down in Florida, where boatload after boatload after boatload of Cuban refugees, many of them prisoner people that Castro left out of prison and out of psychiatric hospitals. And Carter put these people in essentially concentration camps, one in Fort Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania, and the other one in Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. And if you've ever been in Arkansas during the summer, it's unbelievably hot. And they were basically fenced in, living in tents and Quonset huts on these military bases, and the Bureau of Prisons controlled the perimeter. But there was complete lack of control in the interior of these areas, and essentially it became prison gangs, rape gangs. There was even an instance of cannibalism down at Fort Chaffee. This is what the hell went on under Jimmy Carter's reign, and his and that was a fraction of what we're dealing with now. That was 175 people, 175,000 people spread over 2 military bases in 2 states. We're looking at millions. We're the possibility of 3 million in this year if we haven't hit it already with all the gotaways. Now, 3 more buses arrived in New York today. They're sticking them in hotels, high-end hotels that cost like $600 a night. The Wilford Plaza and that. They're literally confiscating these rooms from the hotel management and sticking illegal aliens in them. Now, the hypocritical Democrats have been raising hell about this. And the reason I call them hypocritical is what Abbott and DeSantis are doing is a page out of their own book. And a lot of I'll get to the planes in a minute. The planes, the more recent instances, we've had planes going into New York. We had planes going into 2 airports in Pennsylvania. At least 1 plane to the Reading Regional Airport that I know of, that I've seen evidence of last year and spoke of in prior videos. At least 1 plane that went into the Reading Regional Airport in the middle of the night. And also Scranton Wilkes-Barre International Airport took at least 1 plane that we know of. But then there was multiple planes going to New York State, multiple planes going to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chattanooga, Tennessee was the first place that we knew of that it was going on at. And there could have been places we didn't know, and it could still be going on, and we just don't know it. They're keeping a good eye on things down there. Abbott's people and they haven't been witnessing any planes being loaded recently. So the reason I'm calling them hypocritical and why this is a page out of their book, isn't the planes. It's what was going on for over a decade. Because see, Governor Hairgel, Gavin Newsom, he recently got that nickname thanks to Governor DeSantis, a remark he made about him. Governor Hairgel, when he used to be mayor a little over a decade ago, was mayor of Los Angeles. I believe at one time he was also the district attorney in Los Angeles. I'm not sure, but I know he's been in Los Angeles government he was in Los Angeles government for quite some time. And Newsom, because he was with Kimberly Guilfoyle then. Yeah, hot woman, bad tasted man. Well, I shouldn't say that. She was one of Trump's kids now. Sorry, Kim. Yeah, you recoiled good from that one. Somehow I think she would agree with me on Newsom. When he was mayor and when he was in city government in Los Angeles, he was sticking homeless people that were criminals, that were bothersome to them. They were sticking them on buses to Carson City, Nevada, Reno, Nevada, and Las Vegas, Nevada, and dumping their problems on the doorsteps of those cities. He was also sending them to Phoenix, Arizona, and a city in New Mexico. So they were dumping homeless people by the busloads in there. And he and the mayor of San Francisco at the time, I forget his name, they were putting homeless people on planes and sending them to Hawaii, Honolulu. And I had a taste of that. This has been going on for years, mind you. In 2014, my wife and I were celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary in Honolulu. And they have these lovely parks that are like adjacent to the beaches, all around the South Shore, the Windward, Leeward Coast, the North Shore. Beautiful parks. And Cohio Park was adjacent to the area where we were staying in Waikiki. There was another park to the west of us that was a state park, and another park adjacent to the zoo, where the Shell amphitheater is and all that. And you had homeless people living in these parks, sleeping under banyan trees, and they weren't locals. They weren't native Hawaiians. They were haoles like me. They were haoles. The haoles were being sent there by the plane. On planes, there was seats available. They would buy them up cheap at the last minute and stick them on. And they were stuck there. And Hawaiians have a culture of the spirit of aloha, the welcoming nature. And unfortunately, it's biting them in the ass, and they need to reevaluate this because they won't turn people away. way. Beaches belong to everyone. They don't belong, there's no such thing as a private beach in Hawaii. That's the whole spirit of aloha. So they've been dumping. Newsom, in part, was dumping illegal aliens in Hawaii and in other states. As far as I know, 4 different states. So that explains the hypocrisy there. Now, Washington State, all these states that have this explosion of homelessness, it coincides with the legalization, decriminalization of drugs. You take a look at the ones with the worst homeless issues: New York, Chicago, Denver, all of California, and Oregon and Washington State. Washington State has become so permissive. This one woman left her house to take her children to drop them off to school, and while she was gone, a homeless person invaded her house, went into her child's bedroom, laid down on the bed, and fell asleep. Now, she was not aware of this when she first came home, but she heard noise and went up to investigate and found this homeless person sleeping in her child's bed. And when she told her to get out, the homeless person picked up a piece of furniture and attacked her with it. Now, what happened to this homeless person? No charges filed. That is the stuff that's going on. This is the reason that they lost their number one employer in the state of Washington, and that was Boeing. Boeing is gone to Texas. Boeing, like I said, the top employer in the state of Washington is gone. Then you have Oregon. Oregon is also corporate campuses that are nicely landscaped and all that. They got tents all over them with homeless people in them, and people living in the vestibules of some of the corporate offices. They'll go into the vestibule and they'll defecate in there. They'll go in there and they'll defecate. You can't go to an ATM in Portland or Seattle or San Francisco, California. You can't go into one of those vestibule type ATMs because you'll find people sleeping in them and shitting in them. Same thing with New York City. New York City, you have to use your ATM card to get in the vestibule now. You have to put your ATM card in and put your PIN number in on the door to get access to the vestibule, to at least the better ATMs. That's how bad it is with the homelessness. And all of this comes from the legalization of drugs. All of this comes from the permissiveness of liberal policies that are pushed by people like Pothead Caveman, John Fetterman. Pothead Caveman wants to legalize heroin. Free needles at the taxpayer's expense. It's not free. You and I would be paying for the needles for druggies. Not for that one damn bit. And the open borders, same thing. You get all these people coming, rushing in, and overloading the infrastructure. Can you imagine how the schools in some cities are? I can, because I worked in one for over 20 years that was in a constant state of overcrowding because of the influx of illegal aliens migrating to Reading, because it became a magnet for illegal aliens even before the term sanctuary city existed. Reading just became overwhelmed and consumed by them. And now you see they went from the point of having 4 middle schools to having 5 middle schools, and the middle school. Now the 5 middle schools are overcrowded. You have the 3rd largest high school in the country, and they can't house 9th through 12th grade in the building because there's so many of them. There's like 6,000 of them, and elementary schools are only, which were pre-K to 6, are now pre-K to 5, and middle schools are 6, 7, and 8 instead of 7, 8, and 9, because they had to keep shifting the load around. They're supposedly building another elementary school. By the time it's done, it'll be overcrowded. And this is all because of open borders. And Reading, Pennsylvania isn't the only one that's seeing that. There's a lot of urban cities that are seeing this. And people in those cities got to wake up. And the wake-up call is being sent to them by DeSantis and by Abbott. And I thank them for it. So definitely vote Republican. Thank you very much. I got to get to work. God bless.